we're just trying to create the right message for the right person so that they'll use our product in that way.
Yeah. And this is the heart of direct to consumer right here.
Oh, yeah.
That right there, you can take, a good product, get it to the right person with the right message. That's it. We're done here.
There we go. And then the product sells it. Like after that, it's got to be up to the product.
Hello and welcome to Direct to Consumer, a podcast by Pilothouse. Today we have a hot seat episode with Manny Lubin from Slate Milk. Manny is reinventing chocolate milk for adults with less sugar, more protein, and a lot of good humor in their brand. Today, we are with Jeff Shannon and our head of partnerships, Dan Norcia, for his very first Pilothouse podcast episode to talk with Manny about his DTC marketing, the trajectory of the company, and a little bit about his experience on Shark Tank, which is always something we find interesting and super valuable when we talk with clients. Now, if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed to Direct to Consumer by Pilothouse. I want you to go search us on Apple. You can find us on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. We want to make sure that everyone starts subscribing to these podcasts on as many channels as possible. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, go find us out. We'll make sure that on this listing, our other places are listed as well. But it's about time we start raising the amount of subscriptions on these amazing podcasts. But now that housekeeping is out of the way, welcome to the hot seat, Manny. How are you doing?
Oh, just peachy. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Beautiful day in Boston. Can't complain. Excited to talk about direct to consumer. My co-founder Josh and I always bicker respectfully to each other because I kind of run direct to consumer and he runs retail. And so we always kind of compete with each other. So excited to talk about DTC because most of our team is focused on grocery.
Well, just jump right into it. Jump right into the positions of these two, you and your co-partner.
So, our story started in 2017. My co-founder Josh and I were both in the startup tech space. And just wanted to create something we could hold. Like we were both just getting that itch and realized we both love chocolate milk. We're both somewhat lactose intolerant. We're still guzzling lactose-free chocolate milk even into our mid-20s and realized that there was a brand play there. If we could reposition chocolate milk as something for adults or just active people, this better for you trend, make it minimalistic, change the packaging so it's not for kids, make it a little bit healthier. We just thought there was an opportunity there that no one was taking advantage of. We saw all these plant-based drinks, kombuchas, but not a better chocolate milk. And that's kind of where it all began. And, fast forward till 2019, early 2019, we launched a Kickstarter campaign. That was kind of our first stamp of validation. We did about $50K in sales from 1,200 backers, mostly just word of mouth too. My parents did buy, but not a lot. A lot of people asked. We just started growing the business, more people joining the team, people a lot smarter than us with different niches of expertise, and hit the shelves for the first time in November of 2019, started fulfilling direct-to-consumer orders. And so Josh really handles grocery sales or retail sales, we call it, operations, finance, and I'm more marketing, brand, innovation. And so it's just been an awesome partnership. Josh and I, we kind of yin and yang each other. I think we think differently, which is why we've been able to have a good start to the business.
Yeah, I think you absolutely need it. I think to have that relationship. I think e-commerce brands, we talk a lot about direct to consumer, but that whole other side of the business for consumables especially is so essential. What's the split like in your business right now?
So right now we're probably split down the middle. I think long term, we will be a grocery first brand. I think that, I'd like to say that impulse purchases online are becoming more and more common, which they are, but still just putting a can, like especially like a chocolate milk that's in a can that looks unique in front of someone. Like it's been a great way to just drive trial is just by putting the product in front of people. And then obviously just economically online, you can't ship a can at a time, right? So we sell in 12-pack cases. So I think down the road, we'll probably, we hear most e-commerce food and beverage brands are usually about 80% in store, about 20% online. And I think that's what we'll be kind of gunning for.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that makes
Nice.
sense.
On your direct to consumer components of it, how much is Amazon and how much is your website?
Yeah,
Which
so
is, it looks great, by the way.
appreciate that. So I think we might have a bit of a controversial take here. I hear a lot of people talking about Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. I have a lot of respect for Amazon. I don't know if everyone's heard of them. They're a large e-commerce. There's a large, seller online.
Heard some about them.
Yeah, but I'd prefer every single customer come through our website. That is our customer, right? Is we can retarget them with discounts. We can have them engage with us on social. We can just communicate with them. And, those are the customers that are also going to influence the future of our business. Like what flavors come next, multi-serve, like what we're doing down the road is it allows us to listen. Whereas on Amazon, it's just someone basically going grocery shopping and, they're just buying something from a platform that we don't own or really control. So we really try to stick towards our website when we can, but we understand Amazon's a great platform. I buy things on Amazon. It's a great discovery tool too. So we do some business on Amazon as well.
Speaking
I love
of
that.
your-
Oh, sorry, Dan.
yeah, it's awesome. Just speaking of your website, I've noticed that your brand is pretty fantastic. It's a little irreverent. It's pretty funny. Can you talk a little bit about how you guys developed that and sort of what the impetus was?
Yeah, I think when we were starting, the idea was we literally wanted to give chocolate milk a clean slate. That's where the name comes from, right? It's high in sugar, meant for kids, in a carton. It's got some protein, but not enough to really be a pre-workout. So my co-founder Josh and I literally wrote on a whiteboard all the things wrong with chocolate milk. And we legitimately crossed them out one by one. Like it's actually in our Kickstarter video. And then the only one we couldn't fix was just veganism, right? If someone was a vegan, that would be, it's not something wrong with it, but we couldn't convert that customer, which is fine. There are tons of plant-based options out there. But when we were creating our brand, we didn't want to take a stance too hard in a single direction. And I think that was also something where a lot of our advisors and people still challenge us today is, is it a good chocolate milk or is it a post-workout? And we always say, I don't think we have to make that decision yet. I really don't. I think that organically our brand will kind of elevate or gravitate towards who the consumer is. And I think at that point, then we can make some harder stances on it. But we just wanted it to be all inclusive. Like you think of the RX bars, the Soylents, these brands that are minimalistic and don't tell you who should be drinking it, when you should be drinking it, and why you should be drinking it, but rather just have a great product and let the consumer decide if it's for them. That's what we really wanted to focus on when we created the brand. But again, I think organically we're starting to get this, we say athleisure feel to us where, the Barry's boot camps instructors, like the fitness community, they have been ones that have loved our products. And I think that our brand is just starting to associate with that demographic.
Nice.
That's very cool.
While we're still just on the topic of D2C, I noticed that you have a subscription platform, which I think is always a really smart idea with something as addictive as chocolate milk. And I'm curious how that's going for you, whether, what the split is between your just direct to consumer one-time purchasers and your subscription model as well.
Yeah, so I don't have the split off the top of my head, but what we try to funnel everyone to a subscription because our goal, the way we think that we win as a brand and what we want to do is Josh and I wanted to create a chocolate milk we could drink every day. And we know other people want to drink chocolate milk every day too. And so that's kind of the end all be all is you're on a subscription, we are literally your milkman. We are giving you chocolate milk weekly or monthly. And so that's what we want to be able to provide that to people. And so in terms of the split right now, my guess is it's probably between 20 to 40% subscriptions would be my guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's extremely important that every brand has some sort of subscription because it's the set and the forget it. You don't have to think about it. For us, we even have a text line. You text our community manager, Anna, who's the best. You talk to her once, she's your best friend, even with our consumers. And you can just turn it off. You can pause it for a month. So it literally is, I think that does really help with, it's not necessarily an impulse purchase, but the fact that you just have someone on this recurring cycle definitely increases the probability of them ordering again because it's automatic.
That's awesome. And
Absolutely.
MRR looks really good for investors too, right?
Definitely. It doesn't hurt.
And it's just
No
part of
way.
this new retail experience where people are vying. It's funny. This is what Dave talked about on a last podcast that we did with the consumable. It's like, if this thing can just show up in your life and be part of your pantry, it's the thing that you reach for. And if it's a better choice than something else that, has more sugar or isn't as, doesn't provide you as much protein or whatever, you can just sort of like improve people's lives by like being their milkman essentially, and delivering a higher quality product.
Yeah, I mean, it's chocolate milk. It makes everyone smile. Like when we first pitched the idea to pretty much, every investor or anyone that we talk to, they kind of giggle. Like even the Shark Tank episode, like they're all like chuckling. It's chocolate milk. Like we're wearing shirts that say chocolate milk, and it really does. So me personally, of course, I'm one of the founders of the company, but 3 p.m. espresso every day on repeat. It's just something where I look at the clock. It's 2:22, and I'm like, all right, another half hour, and I get my espresso. Like it just gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And I think also the fact that we are in a recyclable can has been, something that's impacted people, where it's 100% recyclable. You toss it in recycling. It's 75% of all aluminum ever created still being used. So we really wanted to make sure that we were the best option in every way we could be.
Nice. Well, you opened the door
That's
to Shark
great.
Tank. So let's talk about your Shark Tank experience. Because we work with a number of clients, just as a preface, that have used Shark Tank. And actually the ones that have used it the best in their marketing after the fact, in their funnels, are all ones that didn't walk away with a win on Shark Tank. Yeah. So like, it's such a good experience any way you slice it.
Yeah, no, I think so. For us, we were fresh off Kickstarter when we went out there. It was summer 2019. We were about 6 months away from launch. The product that the Sharks tried was not what's on the shelves right now, but it was a great experience for us. We knew we were early. We knew we had a big ask, and it's something where, looking back on it, I'm glad we did it, and it's actually helped the business with word of mouth, with buzz, with people reaching out, even driving orders, because Mark didn't like the product. It's pretty obvious. He actually started to come around it a little bit on it. Didn't make it on the show, but yeah, it was a cool experience. I'm really glad I did it.
That's awesome. Yeah, like specifically, this is something that I think you need to consider using it in your funnels for direct to consumer. And this is something that we've done with a few clients now, where you literally are sort of storytelling about your experience and the things that maybe even it taught you about the product, and how, and then even just telling the story of how the product evolved after that. Right. That as just like a warm up for a product like chocolate milk, especially if it's funny, like you are, right, and you can kind of like keep people engaged on that story and engage you in your company's journey. The conversion rates to subscriptions on that kind of thing, I think would be really worth testing.
Definitely. And I think part of the story is, we were just honest. We went out there when we were pre-market with a product that's changed. Look at how much we've evolved. These are the stores we're now in. We made it front and center on our website. We let people know that the product has been improved. And I think a lot of people wanted to try for themselves. And we just took the Sharks' feedback, continue to work on the product, just continue to listen. And I think we're really trying to integrate that into what we're doing. And in terms of marketing, using some of the Shark Tank marketing stuff, it's something that you might see in the future.
Oh, good.
Nice.
Very cool.
Manny, can you talk a little bit about what is working on your marketing right now? So, I mean, obviously you said you're going to integrate the Shark Tank stuff. Couldn't recommend that highly enough. I mean, every person in the world wants to have Shark Tank on their brand. It makes a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys are half and half direct to consumer from your website and retail, obviously you're doing something right with your direct to consumer. How are you guys getting customers?
Yeah, so we leverage Facebook and Instagram almost exclusively. Nice. We do Facebook, Instagram. We dabble in Pinterest a little bit. We do a little bit of Google, but Facebook and Instagram owned by Facebook. Facebook for us, we feel as though we have the most control. They have the most robust reporting, and we've just learned a ton. Not even about what works and what doesn't, but I mean, the way we think about direct to consumer marketing in general is there are all these micro communities of people based on their interests and what they're buying that want to try Slate, that haven't yet, that want to try Slate. And that's basically infinite, because there are 350 million people in the US. And so we just constantly are trying different types of copy, different types of content, different interests, different likes, and then just going wide with a lot of different options. And then we have one that we think is starting to hit, then go deep on that option with a few different iterations. And then we'll hit what we call like a micro community of people. And then we'll just see it with our CPA, like our cost per acquisition will be profitable. And then we'll just exhaust that audience. And then eventually you'll start to tail off and it won't be a profitable campaign anymore. And then we just do it again. So it's literally,
Nice.
we have, so Nick, our employee Nick, who spearheads our digital marketing, that's basically what he does all day, every day. And it's a full-time job. You always have to be iterating. There are a lot of companies out there that have 1 or 2 ads that they just kind of let coast and they get some clicks. They're trying to funnel people to the website. But in our opinion, you have to constantly be changing up the content, changing up the audience, always, always, always testing, because those micro communities will always be there. Like, you can't exhaust them. Even if you hit one, you move away and come back 3 months later, like that, you might have already hit them with an ad they didn't purchase. You hit them again. Maybe it's like time to see the ad. And so that's just how we think about it. And we've had a lot of success with Facebook and Instagram marketing to date. But I still think I know we could do better.
Dude, you're speaking our language. That's what we do for a living, right? I mean, we do Facebook and Instagram advertising. We do more, but that's definitely kind of our bread and butter. And it's amazing the amount of brands that we bring on that have tried something for a moment in time. They hit that peak. They thought they've exhausted all of Facebook and Instagram, and they just haven't tried those other angles. They haven't tried those other things. So kudos to you as a brand owner, especially a brand owner this early in the game of your brand. I mean, it's so dope to see a company sitting there saying, okay, yeah, we get it. We need to do this.
Yeah. I mean, if you think you've exhausted Facebook and Instagram marketing, then you need a new product, like straight up.
Yeah. and yeah, you basically haven't. We have clients we spend, millions a month for on Facebook in just the US. And it's not, well, I don't even know if chocolate milk is niche, but they are relatively niche products, and we keep finding customers just about finding that next angle, that next pocket, for sure.
And the thing that we talk about all the time that you're alluding to here is the way that performance. So brands come to this, not all brands, a lot of brands will come to it with this idea of marketing is like, just represent the product, just get it out there, and they'll find something that works. But in this iterative process of finding angles, finding new audiences, you really are uncovering whole new avenues for your audience. Like, basically, like, allowing performance to dictate where your marketing goes has all this, halo effect over the rest of your organic sales, over your, and your ability to speak dynamically to these different audiences and give people who may even exist in more than one of those audiences, like, different looks at your product.
Definitely.
At the same time, right?
Definitely. I mean, like, even for us, right? Like, we are a lower sugar, higher protein, lactose-free line of chocolate milks. One's caffeinated. We're in there are just so many features, and you can't put it all in one message, right? So, we have certain niche campaigns as a post-workout where we'll hit people and they'll realize, oh, this is a great post-workout. I don't need those extra calories with 50 grams of protein. That's just a different message than someone that is looking for their new latte in the morning with our espresso can is going to be sent, right? There are just so many ways. Like, a lot of products can be used in so many different ways. We're just trying to create the right message for the right person so that they'll use our product in that way.
Yeah. And this is the heart of direct to consumer right here.
Oh, yeah.
That right there, you can take, a good product, get it to the right person with the right message. That's it. We're done here.
There we go. And then the product sells it. Like, after that, it's got to be up to the product.
Oh yeah.
Like, obviously we talk about retar with like Klaviyo and like email and text, like whatever, but the product's got to do the work at that point.
So, quick question and a bit of a story. So there's a concept called first and second moment of truth, right? Like, the first moment of truth is when someone decides to purchase your product. The second moment of truth is when they try it and determine whether or not they like it. And a very interesting case study about Old Spice deodorant came out a few years ago when they did the Terry Crews, hey, look at me, now I'm on a horse, now I'm a mermaid, I'm over here, I'm upside down. That drastically increased first moment of truth sales, but what they realized that it did not increase repeat purchases, right? Because they determined that once they used the product, they didn't actually like it very much. So the question is the question I'm leading to is how, like, are you able to determine based on those different pockets of consumers you're finding, are you able to predict how well they will perform long term in terms of like LTV or how many repurchases they'll make once they start?
Yeah, so I think at that point, again, I think that's a perfect example of a product issue, right? And I think calculating the LTV of our customers is difficult at this point just because we've only been in the market for about 6 months. But I do think it's something that, like, especially once we hit the 1 year mark, we have to do better. Because at this point, what we're trying to do is toss us, like, obviously we're doing conversion ads on social. We do a little bit of email collection ads. We do a little bit of just traffic ads, just trying to toss people in the funnel. And then I think long-term, what we need to do a better job of is retargeting those people that actually like the product, that might not order again, that didn't sign up for email. And I think that's where a lot of people lose customers, is a one-time purchase, like the product, but, it's a chocolate milk online. They didn't sign up for emails. They just, things get clogged up in their personal email. Like, those people need to get retargeted with more social ads. Like, they have to. And it's something that we've started doing a little bit better, but I think that for us is the one thing that we need to really start thinking about. And I think a lot of brands do well. I mean, it's happened to me, right? Like, I buy a certain article of clothing and I'm just not on their subscriber list. I was like, oh crap, that brand, like, I could use another pair of swim trunks. It's been like a year and a half, whereas if I got that ad and it's, they reminded me that I needed it, then I would have purchased more.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about your post-purchase flow? Like, so you have Klaviyo, you're sending out some emails, you're sending out some texts. What are you finding at this stage people are reacting to that in a positive way, and like getting this SMS and being like, how did you, maybe just walk through your process there.
I mean, we really focus on, if we have customers that have purchased in the past, or they are they're an email subscriber, we think of them as VIP. Like, that is our mindset, is you deserve more. If you are engaged with us and, like, we can talk to you, you deserve discounts. So we actually try to send out weekly emails. We just believe that anything more than that, and we've read, too many is just going to spam people. So we do one a week. We have a monthly discount that we offer every month, like a different one every month. So, like, this month we're doing buy 3 cases, get 1 free, and try to raise our AOV a little bit. But we're just always testing. And so I think the idea is, we've only been doing the discounts, the like monthly discounts for 2 or 3 months. But the idea is we'll be able to just look at Shopify, look back, see what works, what didn't. Like, my guess would be this month our AOV will be higher, but our overall sales will be, medium or down a little bit from like the deal we had last month. But again, that's just my gut, because we're at this point now where we just want to be testing everything, so that in the future we can say, all right, this worked, this didn't. What are we trying to do here? Are we trying to blow through a little bit more inventory this month, or are we trying to knock our sales up?
With that testing, how do you know, and this is something people struggle with all the time, us included, is how much testing is too much testing? Like, where do you have a very structured way to test and say, okay, we're going to change this one variable, everything else stays the same? Or are you just like, fuck it, we're young, let's just throw a bunch of stuff at the wall, see what sticks, and go for it? Because that's also like a totally valid way to test.
Yeah, I mean, we're the same way. It's like, we literally, sometimes we just finger to the wind. Like, we got to go with your gut sometimes. Like, if there was a how to market for dummies, then we'd all be using it, right? Like, no one has the answer. It's a different product for everything. But, well, in terms of discounts, like, we usually just give it at least 4 weeks. There's just so many variables. Like, people might not see emails. Like, I don't know. So we usually do at least a month. When it comes to social, even I think Facebook will even tell you, like, if you're not seeing, I think they say 48 hours. We usually give it like at least 48, 72 hours. And if we have a post where it's like, all right, like our CPA is like 3x what we needed at, then we'll just pull the plug. But it's not usually necessarily a dollar amount. It's usually a time amount. But again, if we have campaigns that are working, we will go super deep on them. But constantly just be testing something else. We always want to be A/B testing at least one thing, or else I just feel like we're wasting time.
Nice.
Very cool. Have you done a lot of experimenting with pre-sales content? Like, instead, so like the ad through to like a lander, whether it's advertorial or some other engaging content. Have you experimented with that much?
So we've actually talked about that, and I'd be curious to look more into it. I don't get it. Like, I mean, this just might be me being stubborn, but like offering, like, I think we can give enough information in the ad and on the product purchase page where we don't need almost another barrier, which another click for someone. It's something that we still have to try, and I think we will try. At this point, our ads, most of them, like, we just find ones that work, but haven't done that yet. Something that I think we will experiment with.
Yeah, Jeff, can you speak a little bit to the philosophy of why that works, why we see it works?
Yeah, I mean, a big thing with landing pages is, like, if you've got a really qualified audience that's going to buy your product anyway, they're going to buy. Like, they don't need to be sold, but you can really widen up the funnel if you get a landing page that finds, basically takes in unqualified people. They read through a bunch of content and turns them into a qualified customer. So that's really kind of where we see a lot of the success with pre-sale pages.
Okay. But so you've seen success with it?
Oh yeah. I mean, like we definitely have some clients we don't use pre-sales on. We have some we use a mix. We have some that only work with pre-sales. Like, you know, we'll cut our CPA in a, you know, by a factor of 4 by using a pre-sale page.
And is that usually like written content with photos? Is it videos or all the above?
Yeah, kind of a mix of all the above. Sometimes it'll be, you know, some kind of video sales lander. Sometimes it'll be long form copy. Sometimes it'll look pretty similar to your main page. It'll just have more in-depth content. You can also start to really point the content. You know, you could have a pre-sale page just for, you know, post-workout beverage, right? So the whole thing is focused on all the benefits of that. So you keep it really focused. So you can go after that audience and bring them in on that. Right. Or you can keep it more wide and be like, we are reinventing chocolate milk. Here's why we're doing it. Here's why everybody needs this. You know, it really just takes the angles you take on your ads and the audiences you target and allows you to extend that onto the website itself.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think we'll try that.
Yeah, definitely, man.
We have one client. We're just building a GIF right now that just shows the 69 different pages that we tested. And the differences within those pages, and then the EPCs like corresponding, like moving up as we went. And it's just, and again, you're speaking when you say like relentless, you know, we always say relentless iteration, right? And that's how we make things work, and that's how we keep pushing limits on scale. And so, you know, it's always great to find DTC brand owners who are of the same mind.
Well, it's like watching a TV episode. It's like you don't want to watch the same episode over and over again. Like you're just gonna get boring. You're gonna turn your brain off. It's the same with any type of advertising. It's like even if it's an image, like you gotta trigger people's brains.
Totally, man. Totally. We've been experimenting a lot recently with third-party brands as well. So we will build another brand for the consumer that actually, you know, it might be like milkreviews.com or whatever, and you know, all of a sudden they own milkreviews.com. And they can have, you know, it's obviously labeled as an advertorial and things like that. But the idea is you get these people that have kind of come in the funnel. They've seen Slate milk. They've seen the ads a bunch of times. They still haven't purchased. But then when they start seeing it in other areas, you can actually become ubiquitous to a certain sector of consumers. You can be the new Coca-Cola. Anyone can be if you target a small enough group, right? You can find influencers in that space. You can have other brands. You can have partner distribution of your content. And then all of a sudden, when anyone goes anywhere, they're like, "Holy shit! Slate milk is blowing up. It's absolutely everywhere." In reality, it's everywhere for them, but it's not everywhere for, you know, the other 99.5% of the U.S.
Right. And so when you use like a third-party brand, if you click on it like to purchase, does it funnel people back into the original brand?
Yeah.
Okay. So then what brand name would you, so it would be like a third party advertising company almost.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, a lot of brands we're working with will kind of create their own third party brands. So they create their own lifestyle magazine, and they have, you know, it doesn't need to be a separate business or anything. You just need a good amount of articles on there, a good amount of stuff, some engaging content. And then you use that basically as the pre-sale page on Facebook ads. You can use this to, you know, you run actual ads from milkreviews.com.
Right.
And it's talking about how great Slate milk is.
Yeah.
Or it talks about, you know, the 3 ways to, I mean, it doesn't have to be milkreviews.com. It could be healthyeating.com or whatever.
Yeah.
But for you, I swear, the first thing to test is a Shark Tank story where you use pictures, you use language.
Yeah,
we literally have just 20x an apparel company with this strategy.
Wow.
Yeah. And like we've grown it a lot before we even tried this angle, but this angle has like given us a whole, like, this is a golden tip right here, I think.
It literally went from 1 to 2 sales a day. They couldn't crack the code. We took them on. I think we had them on for 2 months, and they were like, "Hey, we got all those Dragon's Den assets." We're like, "Holy shit, let's try that." Went up to 150 sales a day, kind of overnight. Like, it was literally 2 days.
And why do you think that is? Just product validation?
People love that shit. People love the Shark Tanks. They love the dragons, and it's just seeing your product, especially your product, which is so broadly appealing. You know, it's easy to avoid a Slate. You know, your ads are stylish, they're minimalist maybe, but it's easy to avoid that on the feed. But if you have fucking what's his name? Mark Cuban spat my milk out on live TV, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Or you know what I mean? Like something hooky like that.
Right.
You know, just gives people that, and then you walk them through the journey. You tell a funny story. You know, at the end of it, you've totally sold them on your product, and they have all this other validation they've built back through this funnel.
Oh
and
yeah.
one other point there, not only have you sold them on their product, you've also sold them on your team and your journey, right? Like people love people with grit. So if they see that you had grit, they see Mark Cuban spit your chocolate milk out on the floor.
I don't know that he did that. I haven't seen it.
I know, right? But 6 months later, you're crushing it. People love to see that story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like no matter what you do as a brand, when you advertise, it's an advertisement. It looks like an advertisement. To the average person, they're like, okay, I'm being sold again. Here's an ad. I see the little sponsored logo. But when they see something that's more interesting and more native looking to whatever the content is, it looks like news, and it feels like news, and it feels like this other, again, like Eric said, validation point. And again, it just allows you to be a little bit more ubiquitous. So all of a sudden there's these multiple touch points to the same consumers.
Nice. Yeah. So that's, so let us know. We got to stay in touch about that, because I'd love to see how that could work for you as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I also see you sell apparel.
We're happy to look over some drafts too. If you want to just send something over, we can tell you how close or how far off it is from what we work for us.
Deal.
In exchange for chocolate milk, can you get that across the border?
I was just trying to order some, and I think they ship to Canada.
We do. Oh, the shipping is crazy to Canada though. But let me know. I'll see what I can do. Nice.
That's awesome. Well, I one of my last things, I just wanted to ask about your apparel line that you have going. I know your customers become these VIP members. At what point does apparel enter their customer journey?
I think the apparel, well, we usually send it out to like brand ambassadors, just like people that love the brand. Like we've had some like parents reach out saying like, my kids love this. Thank you so much. We've changed our life. And yeah, well, if they're a great customer and we see that they've ordered, we don't send it to everyone. They've ordered a lot of Slate, then we just toss out t-shirts, because we want people to like associate with our brand, right? Like we want those consumers. Like that's how you build a great community, is through people, right? And so we just threw an apparel website up there, had a little fun with it. My brother actually designs websites. He's part of the team. He helps us out with graphic design, and just had some fun with it. But it's funny, whenever I watch on the street with this shirt, like it just says chocolate milk, or the high school athlete one I wore in Shark Tank, or Josh has a shirt that says like, what does it say? AIM and Game Boy and Blockbuster and chocolate milk. Like people just love it, and it's got that nostalgic feel to it, and whatever we can do to put smiles on people's faces.
Love it. Very cool. So what's your goal with all of this? What's your next sort of like big target that you're aimed at? And where do you see the future of Slate chocolate milk?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we really want to, we genuinely want to give chocolate milk a clean slate. We want to be the team that created a chocolate milk for adults, a chocolate milk that everyone could drink every day and it wouldn't destroy their stomachs, and you drink it as post-workout, whatever. We want to be in as many people's hands and lives as we can. Like that's just to Josh and myself. It just kind of put smiles on our faces, and it keeps us driven. I think, it's hard to set numerical goals. I think in about a year, I think we want people to know us. I think we're getting there. We got a long way to go. We're still grinding. We'll always be grinding, but we want to get in as many retail stores as we can, but the right ones. So we're starting to grow our retail footprint all over the country. We're going to be launching in the West Coast later this year. We're going to be launching in a couple hundred more stores in the next couple months here, and just continue to grow slowly but surely, and just change the dairy space.
Love it. As a lactose intolerant man, then I'm definitely on board, and I'm going to pick up some cans right now. I wanted to ask, this is something we ask on all of our interviews. If you had a $50,000 grant right now, you had someone offering you a $50,000 grant, what part of the business would you put it in?
I mean, you're asking the DTC guy. I'm going to throw it into ads. Like,
yeah.
Don't tell Josh. Every single day, Josh and I bicker about my budget. No, I'm just kidding. He gets it. I mean, the numbers are too good not to throw it right now, especially with where we are in the world, like with what's going on in retail versus e-com. Like you have people that you never thought would be ordering things online that are having their grandkids or their children or just other people teach them how to. Right now is the time to capitalize on e-commerce, and it's what's best for the consumer too. Like we don't want people leaving their houses. Let's send it to their doorsteps.
Exactly.
So I mean, I would put it all into digital marketing.
We love to hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Good call. Good call.
I'm sure that's what you guys wanted me to say, but it's just dead ass, straight up.
We're like holding cards up of what you should be saying behind the camera right now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, man.
No, that's great.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, and like, I don't want to get back into the weeds because it's, we're kind of nearing the end, but I feel like I wanted to ask. So like when you're doing your ads, like what's holding you back from just scaling to like, and I have no idea how much you're spending, and if you feel comfortable sharing that, share it, but don't feel like you need to. But what's slowing you? Like what is slowing you from scaling basically? Like why aren't you spending 50 grand?
It's one of our advisors, like our advisor that has a finance background. He's been CFO of a few companies. He asked the same thing. It's a fair question. It's, if you have profitable ads, why not blow them up to the moon? It's a combination of inventory, where we want to make sure that we can provide inventory to the grocery stores. Just not doing anything too quickly. We've only been around for 7 months. You hear horror stories all the time, just doing too much too fast. Like let's take it down a notch. So it's inventory that. And then also when we think about profitable ads, we're taking into account, like the customer value, not just what we're netting on one purchase. So like you have to take into account the frequency of an order. So if we're just taking into account the profitability of a one-time purchase, then some of the ads might not necessarily be net negative with a first-time purchase. So if we spent $5 million in the first month, we would just run out of money. But the idea is that we're acquiring that customer. We know they're ordering X amount more time. So we know like the quote unquote LTV of that customer at this point is X. Therefore, that ad is profitable. So it's just making sure that we're not spending it all up front, because the profitability of that customer we're not receiving back right away, if that makes sense.
Totally. Yeah. That was exactly what I was getting at. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. I'd be interested to know, like, once you get into it more, like when you send someone a hat after they've made a certain amount of purchases, like what happens when you get sent some sweet chocolate milk swag? Like, I bet you're really locking in some LTV with that move.
I mean, you'd hope so. If you're wearing around the brand, you'd hope that they're not going out buying an S-Click, but I can't control it.
S-Click.
Nice.
I think Eric's just saying he really wants some swag.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let me know. We'll give you some. We got hats that just say Slate on them. We got some that say chocolate milk. Like we're planning on making another swag order soon too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just like, is it just Canada where the phrase is got milk? You just be like, yeah, I got fucking chocolate milk. That's just, I don't know. That's a bit aggressive maybe.
That's I think that was a global campaign where the guy gets by the truck and he's got all these cookies, and then he opens the fridge and every single milk carton is empty, and he finds out he's in hell. I love that one.
Nice. Well, on that note, I think we should wrap up here. Now is the time where we all stare at our webcams and do a YouTube face for the thumbnail. Are you ready?
What's a YouTube face?
You have to make like a type face. Ready?
It's just gonna
Ready?
be like, yeah.
1, 2, 3, go. There we go. Thanks very much. These are the things we do for social media. Manny, we will be, we will love to keep in touch. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks so much, dude.
Good
Take care, man. Good luck.
Now, if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed to Direct to Consumer by Pilothouse. I want you to go search us on Apple. You can find us on Stitcher. We're on Spotify. We want to make sure that everyone starts subscribing to these podcasts on as many channels as possible. So if you're listening to this podcast right now, go find us out. We'll make sure that on this listing, our other places are listed as well. But it's about time we start raising the amount of subscriptions on these amazing podcasts.